asked me if I thought you could benefit from taking these online classes. And of course, I said yes. This is one of the strategies that I teach my students. So firstly, you'll learn new skills from whatever course you take, right? Win. But by taking a course in English, you'll hear common English expressions and new vocabulary in an area of life that interests you, like your work or your hobbies, right? The other awesome thing is that many of the courses offered at Skillshare actually have a community that forms around the classes, which would give you even more opportunities to practice your English skills, right? Now, I want you to know that Skillshare are sponsoring this lesson, which is great for me. They're helping to support me a little while I make free lessons for you. But they have also agreed to give the first 500 English students who sign up using the link in the description below free access to their premium level membership for 2 whole months. So that's 2 months of whatever courses you choose in English for free. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of this strategy, learning and using your English in different contexts. So if you want to try it, then please be quick to take me up on that offer. I was only able to get it for 500 students, so click the link that you can see below to make sure you're one of them. All right, let's get back to the lesson. Since we're focusing on common natural expressions in this lesson, I want to show you a short video clip of a conversation I had with my friend Sim. Sim.
Emma, it's so good to see you.
Fancy seeing you here.
Well, I live here now.
What do you mean? I thought you were living in Melbourne.
Oh, we just got a job and I've just moved in.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you need a hand?
Well, most of our stuff's already been moved in, but would you have a car that I could borrow?
Yeah, I definitely do. We've got 2 actually. I live in number 23, so just come grab the keys anytime.
Great, I'll come down and see you.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You've heard a few different expressions there. Now, I want to take you a little deeper into some of them so that you know when to use them and how to say them. Let's go back to the very first thing that I said when I saw Sim. Fancy seeing you here. Fancy seeing you here. This expression is a common one, but it has 2 different meanings, depending on the tone used when it's spoken. So the first meaning is a genuine expression of surprise when you meet someone that you know in an unexpected place. It's like, what are you doing here? I'm so surprised to see you. I wasn't expecting it at all. Now, the second meaning is a sarcastic one. So it's a sarcastic greeting when you see someone somewhere where it's really not surprising at all. Okay, it's not surprising to see them there. So here's an example. Every Friday, no joke, every Friday, I go to this delicious bakery near my house to get a phenomenally good pastry and a coffee. Now, I only allow myself to go there on Fridays because it's so good and it's so close that if I don't have rules, I would go there every day. So Friday is the day I'm allowed to go. And most people know that about me. All of my neighbors know, all my friends know. So if they ever run into me on a Friday morning at the bakery, it really won't be a surprise. They might say, well, fancy seeing you here. Like it's not a surprise at all. I'm there every Friday. But my expression was different during my conversation with Sim. I was genuinely surprised to see her, right? In a positive way. I didn't expect to see her there. And you can tell by the tone. As women, we tend to raise the tone of our voice when we get excited, right? Very excited to see each other. Did you notice that all of the words were stressed when I said them? We don't really hear any of those sounds reduced down. We hear everything quite clearly. In the multi-syllable words, you hear one stressed syllable that's louder and clearer than the other one. The other one reduces down. Fancy. Seeing. Fancy seeing. Fancy seeing you. Seeing you. Now you might hear that sound reduced down to become the sound when it's spoken, right? Seeing you, seeing you. It's a little easier to say, right? So it happens quite a bit in spoken English. Fancy seeing you here. Hear how the pitch stays high? Now, in the sarcastic version, it sounds a little different. It would sound like, well, fancy, just for maximum effect, right? Fancy seeing you here. If you're a regular viewer here at English and I recognize you in the comments, I might say, oh, Jorge, fancy seeing you here. Like, I see you every week. Let's look closer at another expression I used during that conversation. What do you mean? What do you mean? I thought you were living in Melbourne. I'm using this expression because I'm surprised and confused. At the time, I thought that Sim lived in Melbourne, so it was strange to see her at my apartment building, right? What do you mean? What are you doing here? I'm surprised, right? What do you mean is a great expression to show that you're a little confused. It suggests that you need a little more information to understand what's happening, what's going on. Any kind of confusion can be cleared up by asking this question. What do you mean? What do you mean? I thought it would be ready to pick up this afternoon. What do you mean? I'm not dressed appropriately? What do you mean you're busy? I thought you took the afternoon off work. See, in all of those situations, this phrase is super helpful to clear away any confusion, all right? What do you mean? Now, if you watched this lesson here, another lesson about common expressions, then you've already practiced the pronunciation of these three words with me. What do you? Pronounced naturally, it sounds more like whatia. Whatia. The unstressed vowels reduce down and the words link together. Whatia. What do you mean? What do you mean? You might also hear these words expressed as wodju or wodja. Wodja. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Right? Depends on the English accent. Now, mean is the most important word here in this question, so it's stressed. We hear it really clearly. But all of the others reduce down. Wodja. What do you mean? What do you mean? Also helps if you put a confused face on as well. Huh? What do you mean? So once I found out that Sim had only just moved into the building, I wanted to offer my help, right? Like a good friend would. Moving house is hard work, right? Have you ever done it? In my life, I've done it over 25 times. So of course, I know how arduous that task is. And like a good friend, I offered to help out. Do you need a hand? Do you need a hand? It's a little more formal or more polite to say, can I give you a hand? But Sim's an old friend of mine, so I'm speaking informally. Do you need a hand? So this idiom is a really common way of offering to help someone. Offering to give someone a hand is a nice way of saying, how can I help you? Or please let me help you with that. It's a nice thing to say if you hear someone saying that they've got a lot of work to do, or they're stressed out, or they're struggling to do something. And you can also use it to casually ask for help yourself by making it a question. Can you give me a hand? Now, just like in the last question, we have the auxiliary verb do and the pronoun you. Both are unstressed, so when they reduce, it sounds like dia. Dia. Do you need a hand? Or again, you might hear that j sound. Ju. Do you need a hand? Do you need a hand? When I asked that question, Sim said that most of their stuff had already been moved in, right?
Well, most of our stuff's already been moved in, but...
She's politely letting me know that she doesn't need my help. But if she did want to accept my offer, she could say, would you mind? Would you mind can follow an offer for help. Now, technically, we already know that the person doesn't mind because they offered in the first place, right? But this is